Oh yeah, and like you mentioned earlier too, there's never any boundaries with South Park. Because one thing I wanted to mention in terms of like how it's relevant to today's society, I think the fact that like we've all kind of come to the conclusion like they can't be canceled, right? Like it's been decades strong. They've talked about the most controversial topics, and they have yet to be canceled. And I wonder if South Park's existence is still symbolic to kind of saying that we're beyond cancel culture, like as a society as a whole, because like it allows us to kind of reflect, kind of see the growth and adjust from there. Like because like how Elliot mentioned the man bear pig is like they evolved, they apologized openly, and they were like, we were wrong, and here's how we changed our views on it. But then every other topic, they would allow us to point fun at ourselves from both sides because they do take that more neutral, more nihilistic approach to kind of say, you believe this, we're going to make fun of it. You believe that, we make fun of that as well. Either way, we're making fun of everybody. And I'm curious, and I want to know all your thoughts on that too. Is that how society should kind of embrace cancel culture, is kind of moving beyond it and just embracing the fact that people make mistakes and we can grow from them?
Yeah, it's a thin line, and I'm sure Elliot can kind of gather my thoughts with. The way I view it is there needs to be some sort of accountability of if you're living a racial life or just bigotry, and I think that needs to be condemned in some sort of way. But to the point where, like I said, it's getting to the point where it's tough, where it becomes a he said, she said, and just the phrase of it can completely just wipe people out before getting, is it actually necessarily true? What does the investigation of that look like? And it can be tough, especially when it comes to the Me Too movement. It's a great movement, but with it, just the allegation alone, people just want to back off so far away from it, where it's like people losing jobs, people going through that route just because they don't want to be associated. And it kind of makes me think of the PC principle, where is over censorship and being overly PC the approach to go with things, or do we need to kind of step back and self-regulate? And
No,
who is that self-regulator?
that's a good
I like
point.
that.
And something they both say, or the two guys, they're two very
Matt Stone
privileged
and
white.
Trey Parker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They say themselves that they're extremely privileged, like rich white guys. So a lot of the things that is about PC culture, they can say and get away with. But that's also kind of why I think people want to watch it. It's because like they can say all that stuff, and they do. Um, but it's still important commentary.
So, would you say like it's good that they can live in that kind of free space?
They should use their powers for good. Yeah, and speak truth to power with um, with humor. That's super important. But it's kind of like that. I think they also asked the question too, right? When does PC culture go too far? Where should those
Mm-hmm.
boundaries be? When do we get too ridiculous?
That's fair. Yeah, that is
I
very
agree
fair.
with that too. And like, yeah, like I guess what South Park, you know, uh, I feel like what it's also trying to say beyond cancel culture is, like when any ideal gets taken to its extreme by the people that are trying to carry out that idealism, usually becomes the asshole that starts, ruining people's lives around them. Whether it's someone who wants to control or call out people for their mistakes to the point where they want to ruin their lives, rather than try to have them, and their form of justice is to ruin their lives, rather than seek justice by having like, hey, like, can you see if you change your mind about what you think? If I offer you a good uh, counter argument, or an extreme of trying to get Columbus Day canceled uh, uh, by pretending that you have Native American blood when you don't, or any side can go into that, cross that line, and then start tipping the scales towards chaos, which I think honestly is a good. South Park is a good counterbalance, at least in thoughts towards what is going on in today's world. And I think all the shitty fallout towards and the people that are getting hurt is the emergence of those who have power, going tipping the scale too far in one direction, whether they realize it or not. And not just political sides, but just human behavior too. Especially like when you see characters who really, like, again, once Randy, his emotions to not face shame causes him to lie and be deceitful and to the most extremes. And like I think it's exactly what human beings do. Even I would even say to the extent that Randy would ever do it. Although it's hilarious in the cartoon, but I could see people doing that just for the sake of saving face or proof of their point.
I think we see it all the time on social media now too.
Yeah.
Like we always want to paint that one light of people, and then kind of hide all the, we want to post all the highlights, and then leave everything that's negative on the back end where people can't see it. But then pose like everything's perfect. That's a very good point, actually.
Yeah. Well, we can't do that anymore because social media.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's a double-edged sword. It depends. I think it depends on who contains the information. Like who's the one that retains control of it. Because I think if the individual themselves retain it, then they have that opportunity to present the highlight. But then if it does get into the hands of others or it does affect others, that's when they can bring the realistic side, the skeletons in the closet, out to light and let everyone know the full story. So, because like you were saying, like Randy,
or fabricate skeletons in the closet for someone.
That is true.
With deep fakes, simply just changing the wording on a digital document and changing the words out, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, like if I can relate it to South Park, we'd be in the closet with Tom Cruise, John Travolta, and R. Kelly. On the Scientology episode. Hilarious. Well, I feel like our conversation right now does kind of tie into like what integrity represents. So I'm not gonna double down on that and make that like a side topic. But one thing I want to ask you all is which South Park character kind of relates to you the most, and what's the reasoning why?
Who?
I said, choose a character that you feel represents you in like the real world, and what's the reason behind it?
You know what's kind of funny is I felt like Butters. I always kind of related to Butters, just like how nice he is, and then like what his imagination is in the background, and I don't know why. It's just he's really silly, but I feel like I understand his character.
Okay, I'll jump in on that too because I also picked Butters. So it was between Butters and Randy for me. Those were the two. Like I'm a Butters Randy hybrid, which sounds hilarious. But I will say, because I took notes when I was thinking, I was like, how do I relate to Butters? And do I have specific episodes, hilarious references, and like if I read them off the screen right now, it was So you can tell me if this kind of relates to you as well, Elliot, or if you can see how Butters embodies these traits, right? The first one I put is an entrepreneurial spirit by when he becomes a pimp. Now he's willing to use the resources around him.
Oh yeah.
He has a sense of innocence and cluelessness. So, for example, when he was investigating his dad's whereabouts for his mom, and his dad was having homosexual acts in the all-male bathhouse, and he reported it as playful wrestling to his mom, playful naked wrestling. And he was like, I don't know, all those fellows are just on dad. I don't think he won. So he's just so innocent. And then
Yeah.
the last one that I put was having the worst outcomes happen from the best of intentions. And the example I pulled was the You Got Served base episode, You Got F'd in the A, where he was like the tap dancing champion. He didn't want to dance or anything because he accidentally killed all those people. But then he wanted South Park to win the dance battle, so he comes out of retirement and accidentally kills the opposing dance crew again. And I was like, I feel like at a much smaller scale that has happened to me before, without the tap dancing or the killings, of course. So what do you think, Elliot? Do any of those kind of relate to you too?
No, yeah, that stands out. But it's just the innocence and like seeing things in that particular kind way. And yeah, best of intentions, but something happens.
And therefore it goes wrong. All right. Michael, Phil, what about you? What
I've been
characters?
thinking about it, and it's just been kind of tough. Just like navigating around. And I think like the biggest one I think I would relate to would be, I think it'd be two parts. Like the first one would be I think it would be like,
dramatic pause.
yeah, I think it'd be like a Randy Marsh, the dad, where it's just like he kind of changes in waves, but with that character, he kind of understands his own being of life, but then can get just sidetracked. And with Randy Marsh, he does have personal beliefs of what he's doing is right, but the community around him may see differently. And I think it's just hard navigating of like, this is the path I've learned and what I'm trying to go through. And sometimes I'm wrong, and but deep down, it's just like it's hard just adulting and kind of navigating and just that transformation. And I think the other one would be Kenny, in the essence of just growing up in a different compared to my peers, but just kind of being along where I've had friends who had a lot more money, especially in college, where just like I felt like a fish out of water. And sometimes socioeconomic statuses would be challenged by the peers around me, and even in a joking way. And but deep down, like it didn't affect friendships, and can still kind of hang out. And it was tough when sometimes friends or family would be like, "Yo, like here's this thing that you might need," and then also be like on the butt end of jokes.
In a playful way, right? Or a hurtful way.
It goes either way.
Okay, that's fair. I like that explanation of Kenny too, because like knowing you, I thought it was gonna be like a much more jokey approach, but I think you did add like some extra like depth to like Kenny as a
Yeah, and
character
with
and
that,
how.
like I've always like had issues with like speech, and like I know I murmur and have like a low voice, so I know like sometimes like just having a conversation, sometimes be like, I don't know what you said, like try again.
Yeah, dude, I like that. See, if I had to interpret the combination of two of like Kenny and Randy, I would say that would make you Mysterion, who's Kenny's superhero alter ego, who has the ability to never truly die. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at Randy's constant evolution and changing, as you mentioned, and then Kenny's ability to always regenerate and recreate himself,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a good explanation of evolution and metamorphosis and how we grow from the day by day. Like if you look at it as, if we look at every day as its own unique day, and then the day prior is our old selves dying and our new selves being reborn, I think that's kind of ends up being the summation of Kenny and Randy. Or maybe I'm looking too deep into it. What about you, Phil?
I see parts of characters that are relatable, not the entire character itself, because I even think Stan and Kyle, who are to me the most normal, have their deep ends, right? But Randy is also someone who parts of him I see reflected in me, especially when he really gets into something, he dives in deep. Like it's almost like every week he has a new project that he wants to get into, and then it finally culminates into him actually following through with Integrity Farms, which is really good to see. You know, as much of the antics he gets in with that industry, I think people can agree that watch the show, like, oh, it's good to see Randy is like sticking to this one thing for a whole season beyond, you know. So I like that. I like seeing that in Randy. I love Kyle. Kyle and the way he sticks up. Stan too, but I love how Kyle in the crazy world he lives in, he finds a way to stick up for what's right all the time, or as best as he can. Even if maybe like there are sometimes he's willing to kill, especially I always feel like Kyle's main arch nemesis is Cartman in most episodes, and I love seeing that. And then they're still friends, and even Cartman, like part of his persona, like his actions kind of represent what some of my thoughts, how my thoughts react to the world. I just don't act upon them. I don't take people and put them in stew and feed them to other people like he did once. Yeah, those are my characters there.
I like that. Yeah, I'm definitely glad you're not making people into stew. The Scott Tinnerman stew.
What do you do? Like tears? There's tears in my chili or something like that.
He's like, the tears are so delicious.
And all the
classic. Oh, dude, that was a classic episode too.
Yeah.
No, well, guys, I think I think that's all that I had on my end. Was there any other topics y'all wanted to discuss?
South Park? No, and nothing top of my head. South Park. I'm glad we're reflecting on it, because in a way it's been a part of this world, at least a part of my world, as much as like an iconic building like the Stratosphere for Las Vegas has been. It's always looming. People know about it. I'm not always looking at it, but when I do, I'm like, damn, it's a nice tower.
That is fair.
Yeah.
When you put it like that, it's the one thing that continuously followed me into adulthood. Like the next biggest thing I would say, maybe for others, not for me personally, would be Pokemon. But like outside of those two series, it's like, and Dragon Ball Z. Sorry, I almost forgot about Dragon Ball Z. Oh, horrible. But it's like South Park's the one that was continuous, no breaks in between, just nonstop go action for me. So I think Trey and Matt's product and like the growth that they've had even recently, like they signed a $900 million contract. And I think it shows the significance and love that we all have for South Park. And one little side note, I found this out last night too. They might make Tegrity an actual like weed and dispensary, possibly.
If they
So
don't,
there might be an actual Tegrity Farms.
I also read that they are trying to buy the Casa Bonita
Wait,
restaurant.
really? The one that's actually in Colorado? Dude, that is, if they do that, I think that would be perfect. Like that would be perfect to bring everything full circle.
Bring what is like satire to like a physical real life environment and still be a parody of something.
Yeah. You all saw when they had the entire town, like all the characters attend a actual Denver Broncos game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I love that aspect. Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, I think, yeah. Elliot, was there anything else on your end?
No, I think that was everything.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're done here. I guess even though they might not see it, I'm going to give a shout out to Trey and Matt. Let them know that thanks to their product, their genius, that's what led to this conversation today, as well as many other conversations held around South Park. And yeah, the influence that South Park has had on us has lasted decades. Now it's going into like new generations. So yeah, keep at it, and we're looking forward to seeing what else y'all produce. So let's go back down to South Park, have ourselves a time. All right, y'all. I guess we're done for the day. So peace.
Yeah, thank you too. You did a great job, and I can't wait to see more, listen to more of your episodes, your podcasts, and hope to be part of the conversation again.
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely.
Sure.
I'm looking forward to this too. All right, so to our viewers and our listeners, what are your thoughts on South Park in modern day society? Make sure to leave your comments below, subscribe to our channel for more content, and be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, much love and peace.
Just got off the clock, just got on my chill. Called up my homie Brent to see what be the deal. What you trying to do? I'm just trying to heal. Hella floated, never bloated's what I'm trying to feel. Hop in the whip and just got off the clock, just got on my chill. Called up my homie Brent to see what be the deal. What you trying to do? I'm just trying to heal. Hella floated, never bloated's what I'm trying to feel. Hop in the whip and